Hi there, I'm Karina Ferguson and welcome to Craft Star Studios. Today we're going to learn how to do the I-cord cast on, picking up stitches from that cast on, and how to make the special buttonholes that are used on the Oseleta cardigan. So let's get started. So the fronts of the cardigan are worked sideways. We start with an I-cord cast on, we pick up stitches, and we work the lace and the striping so that the panel is worked from here to here. The other one doesn't have the striping, but we've got the little lace thing worked from here to here for the small panel. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how to do the I-cord cast on, which includes how to make the buttonholes when you're working on the cast on. So let's get this out of the way. What I have here is I have a little portion of I-cord that I've already worked. Sometimes they call I-cord idiot cord because it's so simple, but basically all you're doing is knitting stitches, and then when you finish a row, see here we've finished the row, we slide the stitches to the other end of the needle and we knit them again, and that's what makes this nice little tube here. And so I like to use double points to do my I-cords. You can use your circular needles, just depending on the length of your circular needles, you may have to slide a lot more. When I'm doing a long thing of I-cord like this, I like the double pointed needles just because it's easier to work back and forth. So what we do, we've got it slid. Like I said, there was the end of the row. We're here, we're ready to work it, and we just work it like normal. And you don't have to worry about pulling super tight on this because it kind of just does its own thing. So you have your row of knitting that we've just finished. We slide it to the other end of the needle. And what I like to do to make the cord appear is just give it a little tug, and you can see how thick and nice and bouncy the cord is. So we're going to do one more row to get the right number for this. And then what we have you do in the pattern, and I'm going to do this as well for you, is we're going to bind off all these stitches. So we're going to go down here, and I'm just going to bind off like normal. Bind it off until I get to 1. So we're going to bind off 1, and then 2, and then the third one. And then I've got 1 stitch left. I'm going to elongate this stitch because I'm going to take my whole ball of yarn through the stitch and then close that off. And what that does is it allows you to finish off this cord without breaking this yarn. Because when you're working your sweater, you're going to want this yarn later, and you may not want that extra end to have to weave in. Now, if you don't care about weaving in the ends and you just want to break it and get it out of your way, you totally can. I prefer as few ends as possible because I believe that weaving ends is of the devil. So now we have our nice cord, and what we're going to do is we're going to pick one of these columns of stitches to pick up. So here you can see a nice line of stitches here. That's where I'm going to pick up from. And when I pick up from this, I like to pick up from both. And can you see there how I have both of them ready to go? So I'm going to grab my main color yarn. And these are beautiful yarns from Knitted Wits. We have our semi-solid, and then we have our variegated, which I love the way these work together because the variegated and the lace and the striping really makes the most of that. And then you have this nice, beautiful semi-solid for all of the stockinette areas. But we're just going to attach this yarn and start picking up. So there we go. And we're making sure we go into that same row of stitches. Making sure I have the working yarn and not the tail. I'm bad for that. And I'm going to do 5 of these. And we're going to get 3. And then 4. And then 5, and I've got 5 stitches that I've picked up, and you'll see you've got your nice squishy I-cord and your pickup here, and you really, when you pull on this, you can barely see it from the back, but that's the back side anyways. So what we're going to do to make a buttonhole is we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, and we're going to do a cable cast on to cast on 3 stitches. So I'm going to flip this over, grab my spare needle, and then I'm going to insert the needle tip between the 2 stitches on the end of my needle. So this is a cable cast on. Grab a loop through and place it. So we're going to do that 3 times. In between the 2 stitches, you see that? Put it up there, and one more time. And they sometimes get a little tight. You just want to be careful not to pull them too tight. And there's 3 stitches that we've cast on, and that's what's going to make our buttonhole. I turn the work back again. I'm going to make sure when I come here that I skip 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go into this next one. And then I'm going to pick up a bunch here. I think the pattern actually calls for, I believe, 8. But you can space the buttons out differently if you want to. This is just the way that it's done on the pattern. 3, 4, 5, and see how I'm always going into that same row of stitches because we don't want my I-cord all twisty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm always going under both, see right there? Both strands. 7 and 8. And I'm going to show you that cable cast on one more time, just so you can see how that looks again. Turn the work over, grab the needle in between 2 stitches, and you're like knitting into the space between the 2 stitches. And the cable cast on I really like because it's a nice sturdy cast on that you can do without having to have 2 needles or 2 strands or anything going. And again, we're going to look at this. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go into the 2 strands, and then we're going to pick up to the end of this. And then I'll show you what we've got when we're done is we have our nice squishy I-cord. We ate up one of those stitches. It was a 4-stitch I-cord. We ate up one of those stitches with our cast on stuff, but we still have 3 stitches of squishy I-cord. We have the place for the buttonhole. Now, when you're doing this for your actual sweater, I would strongly suggest that once you get to the pick up stitches stage, you're done with the I-cord stage, you switch to your long circular so that you don't have to pick up a million stitches on a double pointed needle, and then you're sad and unhappy and you don't like me. Oops, I split right there. And like I say, you just go through and you're going to grab all of these stitches that you cast on, and that's what's going to make the buttonhole for you. And we'll get to the end of the row and we'll take a quick look at that. You can make your buttonholes bigger or smaller. I made mine 3-stitch buttonholes for the buttons that I have. If you had bigger statement buttons that you wanted to use for your sweater, you could make a 4 or a 5-stitch buttonhole. You could also make them smaller if you just want some little unobtrusive buttons. I was lucky enough to pick up the pretty buttons that are on mine in Italy, and I was in love with them. So I basically made my sweater to go with my pretty buttons. And I think we all do that. We make our sweater to go with the pretty buttons or the pretty yarn or whatever it happens to be. So we get to the end of this row, and I'm going to stretch it out. Now yours is going to be quite a bit longer, but you can see here is our buttonhole. And we've got the stitches picked up from the cast on, and we're ready to do the work for the rest of the sweater. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video helped you with some of the tricky bits of the Oseleta cardigan. Got lots of wonderful things coming for you on this channel, so hit the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner to keep up with all the things Craftstar Studios has to offer. If there's special things about knitting that you'd like to learn, just leave a comment because I'd love to help teach you. All of the links for the sweater pattern and the knitted weight yarn are listed below, so you can find all the things that you need. Thanks for watching.